A little extra second.
Meeting's order. Please stand for the pledge. It's 6:16. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Motion, Sam and Alicia. Any questions? All in favor? It's one but.
It says no.
Okay, public? Joe?
So, we went last month to our SRP conference in, Cooperstown. We took 4 people for the meeting with myself this year. 2 executive members and 2 regular committee, just 2 regular actually union members wanted to go. And some of them went to defensive discipline, understanding, sped ed foundations, developing a strategic plan for maximizing internal power and human resources, from dilemma to decision and legal updates for some of the classes that were attended by everybody. It was a good conference as always. I think the people that attended got a lot out of it. It was a bigger conference this year as they invited the Mid-Hudson, it was Mid-Hudson and the Capital Region this year. So there was some more opportunity to commingle amongst everybody. And it's a good opportunity, and I thank everybody for allowing us to attend the conference.
Everybody needs professional development. We all do.
It's nice to get everybody together in an outside setting also and have a little
Agreed.
relaxed
Well, I'm
time.
glad you went. Was it Cooperstown last year too?
It seems to be Cooperstown almost every
Yeah.
year. One year they went, they switched up because the hotel changed hands, and we ended up down in Terrytown, but that wasn't as good of an
Yeah,
experience.
Cooperstown's much better.
So they worked things back out with management, and we ended up back there again.
Nice.
Most of the hotel, because they opened up for Capital Region to also come down, so there was a good amount of people.
Nice.
For the whole thing? Not that kind. I have been, but not that.
All right, thank you, Joe. Anybody else?
Yes, Bobby Joe.
Hi, guys.
Nice.
So, I just wanted to say that tonight you're going to approve the resignation, or as Ashley just put it, retirement part 2 for Mary Boyd. She has decided that in her late 70s, she thinks it's time to hang up her hat and take retirement seriously. So I just wanted to say a few words that she's been such a kind and caring, comforting presence to many students across over the 20 plus years that she's been here. And her patience and nature, sweet nature, she's really wonderful, has really done so much for so many students, so many staff members, and she's so hardworking, a wonderful lady, and we will definitely miss her, and her dedication to us has really been unwavering. So I wish her the best in her retirement, and look forward to her just coming to visit sometime.
Thanks, Bobby Joe. I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Alicia and Sam, any questions? All in favor? I keep looking for Margaret, I wish she's not there. For presentations, we have the special ed pupil personnel section. Hello there.
I have to answer anything,
Alright.
Marcy. Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna say it wrong.
Yes.
So, thank you all for having me tonight. But Janet was supposed to be with us. Janet is the one who's been doing this work all year, but she unfortunately had another commitment that she couldn't be here. But I do want to give her the credit for putting the slides together and for doing the work this whole time, which has made it really effortless for me to step in and partner with her. So I think it's important that we begin and review our mission and vision because this is really what grounds our work. So our mission is that we provide an engaging and enriching educational experience that prepares each student for a uniquely successful future. And where we're looking to be is a leading educational district that works in partnership with the community to provide a comprehensive and exciting educational experience for every student. In short, every day in every way, every one counts. So while that is what grounds our work, our work this year centered around operations, and we focused on fiscal responsibility and innovation. So the questions that drive our work are these. The first question that we ask are, who are our students? And then we need to know, where are they serviced? How are they doing? And what do we need to do differently? So who are our students? So you can take a look at this at your leisure, but what's important is that, important to note from our division, is that as our enrollment has steadily decreased, our students with disabilities has steadily increased, right? And then if you look down towards the bottom, which is where we're going to focus, our students with disabilities and our economically disadvantaged students, 91 of our 129 students with disabilities are students who are economically disadvantaged. That is 70% of our students, and that's 60% of our total population are economically disadvantaged, right? So it's important to know that there is a correlation between our students who are economically disadvantaged and our students with disabilities. So some notices, as we looked at the enrollment data, there was what I just said, that growing number, and it's a disproportionate number of students who are students with disabilities and economically disadvantaged. So what do we do with that information, right? We don't just leave it sitting there. It leads us to wonder and start to work together with our PPS staff, and how do we impact that? How do we change that, right? So we need to look at what the factors of poverty are, which are not taken into consideration when we're providing our core instruction. So how does poverty impact our students? What resources are available which may better support our students who are economically disadvantaged? And what impact is there for students who don't have access to early literacy skills? So we're in the process right now of really diving into these questions, so that our hope is that the next year when I'm standing here, I can report back to you that those numbers are starting to change, right? And it's not a quick fix. This is hard work, and it takes a whole community to really make that. Our current programming, answering the question of where are the students serviced in our buildings, this is what our current programming looks like for the 25-26 school year. You can see that we have just, a little closer, I don't know why, as I can't see, but ICT means integrated co-teaching. And that is one special ed teacher, one general education teacher in the classroom at the same time meeting our students' needs. So you can see that we are offering that through 10th grade. And then we switch to consultant teaching in 11th and 12th grade. That is actually moving towards a less restrictive environment, right? The students are becoming more independent. That's what we want to see as they are moving up in age, right? One-to-ones are actually, can become our most restrictive, right? One person with you at the same time can become the most restrictive, especially as we move into the older grades, right? We don't want to babysitter, we want to provide that information, that skill to our students so that they can self-advocate and be proficient in moving throughout their day. And this year we added on an 812 at the K and 1, We had self-contained, which are special programming where the students say it is 12 students, as you see in grades 4 to 6, with 12 students, one teacher, one teaching assistant. In grades 4 to 6 and 7 and 8, there are two separate 12-1-1 classes. And then at the 9-12 level, there is a 15-1-1 at the 9-10. That means 15 students, one teacher, one teaching assistant. And 12-1-3 is a 12 students, one teacher, three teaching assistants ratio. And so you can see how that is. What's really important is that when we're looking at our programming, it's that we have to continue to adapt our programming to the needs of our students. Our goal is always that to provide the least restrictive environment. So you're going to hear me talk about that because not only are we accountable to that, are we rated by the state on that, how we deal with compliance, that is a compliance factor, but it is also about providing the students with what they need. And we try to do that in-house as much as possible. So that addition of that 812 class was really important to help us meet compliance, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. But we are always looking to ensure that our students are served in a least restrictive environment. So let's talk more about that. The state gives us 17 indicators which we are accountable for. Okay? And so indicator 5 talks about the least restrictive environment, and that's where our students are serviced. So the state provides us with a target, right? So the target is 59% of our students have to be in the least restrictive environment for 80% or more of their school day, okay? And we're doing that. We are at 70%, and I want to point out that the last point of data that we have, because we're always waiting for the state to release our data and tell us who we are, what they decide we are, so that's from 23-24. So it's not that we're using old data, it is the most recent results that we have, okay? So we did well in that area, right? But students who are studying more than 40% or in a separate setting, that's where the work lies. And that's where we are continuing to explore how can we look at our programming to be fiscally responsible, but also to meet our students' needs here in-house. And that was where that bringing on of that 812 really is, and looking at how do we adapt our programming to meet the needs of our students. We can't just say that this is the program and this is what we offer, and all students are going to fit here. And so it's really important that we are looking at that. And so we are meeting the mark at the 80%, but we still have some work to do. So at the elementary level, like I said, we added the 812. At the high school, it's a little bit more challenging, right? Behaviors become more challenging because there's more outside influences. And as parents, we know we have less control as they get older, and the outside world tends to creep in more. And so with that, we are really looking at our clinical staff. How do we improve the skill set and the capacity of our clinical staff? How do we support the needs of our students in-house and the many non-academic needs that they are showing up and presenting and I think increasing rate. Another compliance indicator that we are measured on are state assessments. And you can see where we are meeting the mark. Again, the target, and this is for our students with disabilities. This is our target for students with disabilities. And you can see where we're getting it right, as in green. So grade 4 math, we're doing well. The other areas, we're working towards. We know that we have work to do, and we're working with our building leaders and our content coordinators, slow that down and say that, and to support our students' performance and achievement. Did you want to add something?
I did. I think you'll notice that how our students are performing who have disabilities is aligned with our general population, where the strengths are and the areas that we need to work on. That's where when we look at the history of general education and students with disabilities, increases are in the same areas. That's why we have to work on our tier one instruction, and we're continuing to do that. And also our MTSS and having our teachers through their, with their content coordinators, working on identifying those essential standards. So the stronger work that we do for alignment within each grade and crossing into each grade or each content area is going to help us with these performance indicators improving, not just for this subgroup of students with disabilities, but for all of the students.
As we look at compliance indicator 1 and 2 for our students with disabilities, our graduation rate and our dropout rate, you can see for our students with disabilities, the target from the state is no less than 73%, we're at 75%, and our dropout rate is no more than 19%, and we're at 12.5%. So for our students with disabilities, we are in good standing, we are compliant, we are doing well.
Yeah, and just this speaks also to how we've talked about as our region's performance in all content areas. And again, it is very similar. We have increased our graduation rate, but we're also working on making sure for all of our students that not only are they passing the class, but they're also passing the regions. So just a connection across the two. And it is exciting that we are doing well compared to what the state target is for these areas, but we still recognize that we can do better than that.
So before we take a look at our strategic plan commitments, I just want to again point out that it can feel sometimes like our programming becomes unstable, but that's because we are adapting and responding to the needs of students, right? All of our students are ever changing, right? They are continually growing, their academic needs, their developmental needs, their social needs, they're changing, they're growing. And so we need to continually adapt to them. We can't expect our students to work within the confines of pre-existing programming if it doesn't fit. So I know as a board, it can feel sometimes like, didn't we just have that? Why are we changing again? It's changing because our kids are changing. The students that are coming in, across the country, we are seeing a rise in students who are neurodivergent and need a different type of program, right? And that is true. So we are adapting with them, and we are always though looking to be fiscally responsible and say, hey, how do we meet their needs here in-house? How do we offer professional development so our teachers are better suited to meet their needs here? How do we keep our kids here with us? That's always our primary focus. If it makes sense, right? Sometimes we don't have the program needs, or we don't have enough students to justify having a program in-house. Sometimes it makes more sense if there's very few students to send them. But we're constantly analyzing and assessing that as the year and throughout the year, right? It's not just one time. So here were our commitments that were established earlier in the year. The first commitment was to create a standard operating procedures to ensure consistent practices and implementation throughout the PPS division. The second was to train incoming staff on NYSED, New York State education regulations, processes, and procedures to ensure compliance. The third was to create a handbook of processes and procedures, including job descriptions, roles, and responsibilities for the district. And the fourth was to design a continuum aligned to the needs of the students, which is sustainable over time. And I don't know if you wanted to talk to how or what led to this or.
Oh, yeah, I just know that when Janet came, and I know she spoke with us, and she worked with building administration and teachers, and support staff, just finding out where people were, what they needed, and she was, because she has experience in auditing special education programs, she just was really right away able to pinpoint the areas that we needed to focus on this year to provide stability to the department and to get things moving in the right direction and build systems that people felt comfortable with. And I just wanted to acknowledge that she took a really close look quickly at the needs, identified strengths and gaps, working with other people, and that's how we came to these 4 commitments together. Thanks.
Absolutely. And I can say to piggyback off of that, one of the things that we're doing is, so we're talking about the special ed part portion of our PPS division. What I'm currently working on is doing that same level of needs assessment for our PPS staff, which are our school counselors, our social workers, our psychologists. So that work is now where we are. So let's see how we are doing with these commitments. Commitment 1 and 3. We are moving along. We aren't quite there yet, but we are moving along. We identified the following action steps. The first was to identify processes that are not clearly defined and are articulated, to create new SOPs, to tweak and redefine ones that are outdated or unclear, and to create a handbook for global distribution. And we're in process with that. That is big work and that is teamwork, right? That's not the work of one person. And so it is in process and it is moving along. And we are also looking to create professional learning sessions to review the handbook and identify any missing or unclear pieces. And that is in the beginning stages. How will we know when we're successful? Well, all processes and procedures will be articulated with clear understanding and expectations. Everyone will know what we're doing, why, and how, right? If people can't speak to it, then we need to do a better job of communicating it. So we're in process. All roles and responsibilities will be clearly defined. Alignment to the New York State Commissioner's rights will be clearly articulated and understood, and timelines and expectations will be clearly articulated and understood. And we will see that in the handbook and consistently in exit summaries from professional learning sessions from all stakeholders. In regards to commitment 2, training of staff, we are doing better here, right? Partly because that is a much more clear, actionable, and measurable step. So we have successfully trained the PPS office on Medicaid with NERIC, which is the Northeast Regional Information Center. That is our data warehouse, right? So we have successfully done that. We have successfully trained our CPSC and 504 support staff on regulations, policies, and procedures, and we are in process on a good momentum of training the CSC, CPSC chairperson on the regulations, roles, responsibilities, and compliance indicators. And we are in the process of handing off to me as the incoming director and passing off where we are. And so we are doing really well with commitment number 2. How do we know we will have done that well? Well, our Medicaid reimbursements will increase year over year. Our CSC, CPSC, and 504 meetings will be held in compliance with the New York State regulations. Our chairperson will run compliant and timely meetings, not complaints, sorry, that's a typo. Compliant and timely meetings. And I have been hired. And I am beginning, as I said, to transition. My focus for the rest of the year will be really working with the PPS staff while Janet continues to work very closely with the special education department. We are in the middle of annual reviews. Nobody wants to disrupt that, change that, or move that apple cart. Even in the slightest, we are doing well. We are trending in the right direction. And kudos to Janet and the team for doing that work. They have worked really hard this year. And I just cannot thank them enough for making it seamless for me to be able to step in and focus on the PPS staff and supporting them in the many transitions that they've had as well. And they have been doing incredible, and they are hard workers, and so they deserve a little time and attention. And so I'm giving that to them. And we will see long-term compliance in all areas. Commitment 4, we are rocking. The commitment 4 was to design a continuum that was aligned to the needs of students, which is sustainable over time, and I think that's critical, right? So while I said it can feel unstable and we know we need to adapt and tweak, we need to be looking down the road so every year is not going to adapt and tweak, right? We're looking at our students, we're planning, we're having foresight, and we are trying to make the adjustments as seamless as possible. But that takes reviewing anticipated recommendations. We have reviewed student needs, gaps in program offerings, and by we, I mean Janet and the team. I take no credit for that. And have met with building leaders to discuss anticipated expectations for 26, 27. And we are continuing to have those meetings to make sure that is an ongoing conversation, right? It's one thing if we in the PPS department understand what's happening, but we're not the ones doing the work every day. So the people who own the work need to be able to speak to it. And so it's really important that our communication is clear and to the teachers that it's clear. And so that's where we are, and we are doing well. And more importantly though is that we are providing the right level of support to, in the right setting at the right time, right? So that when we're making these adjustments, it's at the right time for students. We are not pushing them faster than they need to be, but we're also not holding them back, right? We are looking for all students to reach their optimal performance, their optimal achievement, and their growth, and continue to move on that continuum, understanding that students grow at different times. And so we're constantly looking to see what their growth is, because each student grows and has an individual. So there were some anticipated challenges that I'm going to let Annette speak to.
Yeah, I'm just speaking to this because, having worked with Janet all year. So, there were challenges with, having additional support for the PPS department. One of the things that she right away, noticed was that in the last few years, we've had 500 plus meetings annually for that department, which is a lot of time and commitment, and one director cannot do all that work on their own and then also do everything else that goes with that. So putting a teacher on special assignment in place to help and support chair those meetings was really critical. Looking at turnover, short staffing, additional increased referrals for students requesting testing or and also new students coming in. I know it's later in the presentation, but we have had a large amount of students who have come into the district this year who already have IEPs. Making sure with new staffing as well that there was Medicaid and ESTAC training, so that we're doing everything correctly, because our funding and reimbursement comes through that, and it's very particular in how that's done. Making sure everyone was trained, that goes back to consistency and practices and commitments. And then just working with Columbia County on contracts that we have, and also their resources. If they cannot provide supports, for example, for CPSE for some of our younger students, we need to make sure that their needs are being met. So we were able to, with Janet's support, work with them so that we can use some of our staff to get those different testing or assessments done in a timely manner, so we're not violating regulations by utilizing our own staff. So those were some of the challenges that she faced coming in and the team faced. This is me too. So I know I talked a little bit about that, and it, the first one speaks to what I just said about having a chairperson, an additional chairperson, occupational therapy and speech alignment, and in parentheses are just the areas that this falls in our strategic plan. But making sure that we have the right supports and enough people doing the right things at the right time when it comes to occupational therapy and physical therapy. That's something that we're in process with as a district to make sure that we have that in place for next year. Taking a look at that continuum that Marcy talked about earlier and making sure that we have the right teachers in place with the right certifications, and that we have all the staffing that we need Because again, like Marcy said, when you get to the middle and high school, things can get challenging when you have students that maybe are, based on their needs, and as the content gets more specific, they might be able to go into an integrated co-teaching for math and science, but they might need to be in a 15-1 for something else. Or even if they have a disability, they might be in a regular geometry class where some of the other students may be in a different geometry class, and you want to make sure you provide supports for all of them. So that's where staffing becomes really critical, and that conversation between the buildings and this department is really important. We've taken a look at our aides and assistants and worked to make needs that support all of our children, and making sure that we're supporting and providing training for our staff and putting them in places where they're most needed. And all of this ties into a culture of care, because this work is really hard for everybody, for our clinical team, for our teachers, gen ed teachers, working with special education teachers, our counselors, and this is where things that are shifting in our practices about, as Marcy mentioned, poverty, but also trauma-informed instruction, knowing how to respond to students in that way. There are different strategies that are more effective now, focusing on restorative practices. And this is where we've tied in bringing in a licensed clinical social worker as a consultant to work with our clinical team to build this culture of care, make sure everybody has the same training and coaching, and that we make sure that we have everybody with responsibilities where their strengths are, so that we're really utilizing our staff as effectively as possible.
Some of the barriers that get in our way are not in our control, right? For instance, the lack of resources available at the counties to support the needs of the CPSE. We have difficulty and still have difficulty finding that third psychologist, despite multiple postings. There's an increased need related to economic circumstances, the new enrollment, like we said earlier, like when I alluded to before, about our students are coming in, our school-age students are coming in, and they are coming in already with an IEP. We had 27 students just in April. I want to say it was 28 now. That number just went up as of today, right, Laura? Yep. I'm like, right, Laura? I think we're at 28 as of 2 o'clock today. So that need is ever changing, and we are responsible to educate all students that come to our district in the most appropriate setting. And then we also have the referrals outside of the MTSS process. We have 38 requests for evaluation, 5 of which are awaiting consent to evaluate. So we are growing, and some things are within our control. We are doing our best to adapt, and that, however, would not be possible without you. And we can't do our job well without you. So I just want to take this time to thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting our coaching and professional development of our clinical team. Thank you for supporting all of the essential changes that are really necessary to give kids and teachers and staff in the community what everyone deserves and needs. And that's not possible without you. So thank you.
You have any questions?
Oh. No, this is me, sorry.
Lynette wanted this one.
I just wanted to point out, because Janet couldn't be here, that these are huge lifts that have been accomplished under the leadership of Janet, along with people that are here in this room tonight, and some additional people to acknowledge on this slide. The 812 and the partnership with INVO and our behavior specialists, that program would not be what it is for those students and families had we not had the support for that and the vision. It says students in the 812 moving into the LRE. That means least restrictive environment. The students in this program have been really successful. We still have this program, we will next year, but some of the students, because of their success, are able to, for certain content areas, go into the classroom with support. So some of them will be moving into a paid kindergarten class throughout the day during the year. and going between both of those. And that again is because of the work of that group, and that's really exciting that they're making that progress. Janet did lead compliance with immunization. Of course, it was our RNs and our LPN that did the heavy lift, but she met with them regularly to make sure that we met those state compliance and the deadline, which was really great because we started out, the state came in to do an audit, and we started out with 90+ students that did not have proper immunization, and we got it down to 1 student by the deadline because of all of their hard work and commitment. And then the hiring, the placement of a .6 chairperson to support with all of the needs that we have. And then Janet also was willing to take on that backpack program to help our students with food insecurities, to have those ready to go every Friday. And Alex Proper and Julie Lee, 2 of our students, assisted in that process. We had Kevin Reese come on board when we had a school psychologist on a leave of absence for a while. Caitlin Scott has stepped up not only to assist in the 812 to continue her jobs as a speech language pathologist and to also be a CSE chair. Veronica Burley as well with that and the supports at the elementary. And then Melissa Crozier and Erin Brady, who are administrative assistants in that office, have really run things beautifully and helped with the transition and all of the changes. So we just want to celebrate and thank all of those people.
And we also want to celebrate and thank you for getting us there. So, thank you. Questions? I will do my very best to answer them.
Just to that, first of all, I applaud all the work that people do for the youth program. That is vital and critical. They're changing a lot of communities, schools, everything like that. I just, you said that the numbers are growing. I just wondered if part of that is because there's a wider interpretation of what this community program. And
I think that as we become more informed and we are having a greater understanding of what students need and how to identify students with disabilities, how do I get, and we still have some work to do also with what constitutes a student requiring classification and how do we support a student within the classroom without classifying. So there's both of those things, it goes hand in hand, but there is definitely a greater awareness and understanding, and there's still and we're working because less stigma, which is also helped with education and understanding and parents.
I'll just make a comment, and I know I usually bring this up because I'm glad that we have that self-contained class, and I hope that that grows into other classes, because at this school district at one time did have that, and we had other school districts coming here for that program. We had people moving into the district because we had such a great program, so I'm hoping that it gets back to that, so I wish you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have to move into pathways in education. Ms. Violet.
Before we begin tonight, I would like to provide some context as to the work that has gone into this presentation and exactly as to what this project is. So in the summer one day in class at the divisions, we've been tasked to come up with some issues in education and write them on the board. Some of these issues that we came up with included low funding, school safety, lack of awareness. As we wrote more and more of these enduring issues down, we realized that all these issues were tied to one big issue: access to education. This led us to switch gears with the project and have a broad theme of access to education, and each group would delve into a mini problem essentially as to accessing education. These groups included mental health, chronic absenteeism, ableism in schools, and what you will see tonight, transportation issues. I worked with 3 other girls from varying school districts on transportation issues, and response to diversity that Blue Vision provides greatly helped myself as well as the other group, as
well as the other groups and my group, yield data as to how we can combat issues such as transportation issues in school. From the data we collected, we collaborate on a local solution that can work for schools all across America, as you will see tonight. However, our goal did not just look how the issue impacts us as a nation, but also how the issue impacts other nations globally. We did this to sustain the Portrait of a Graduate, since in Portrait of a Graduate, cultural awareness is a big major component, and as future teachers, we will need to know how to foster cultural awareness and satisfy Portrait of a Graduate in our classrooms, hence why we tied it into global issues. We as a class came up with the global solution of partnering with UNICEF to donate money. However, it is impossible to do this alone, as we need ways to fundraise the money. That is why I'm here presenting this presentation tonight. I am counting on the board to help devise a solution to combat the enduring issue of access to education both here in America and nationwide. In addition, it would be an ideal way to help us as a school. As an ex officio board member, we as a group suggested more cultural awareness in our school, and what better way to increase cultural awareness than to help fight a worldwide issue. Please enjoy the presentation and think about any ideas for us as a school to help raise money to fight this issue of hindering education. Down button. This is the table of contents. We would first like to start off with putting us in the bus driver shortage and seeing how this issue impacts us as a nation in America. And the essential question for this topic is, as I just mentioned, how is the bus driver shortage impacting the United States as well as upstate New York? So as you guys may know, there are many different ways for students to get to school. Some may bike, others may walk. Some may ride with a parent, and some high schoolers, as you can see down here, may drive. But many take what they call a yellow limousine, the big cheese, or whatever you know, the yellow school bus. However, enduring issues such as bus driver shortages, safety concerns, and demographics can impact getting to school, sometimes being a hindrance. These are some causes of the bus driver shortage. For our first cause, we have retirement. A lot of bus drivers are older, hence why retirement can be an issue. Morale can also be an issue, since many bus drivers sometimes feel that they aren't respected, hence why they try to look for other jobs where they might feel more appreciated. And it's also expensive to obtain a CDL, which goes hand in hand with low pay. So they might think that it might not be worth it to obtain the CDL with the low pay, and then also low funding. The schools sometimes have to make budget cuts, which can impact bus routes and bus drivers getting hired. So these are some of the causes. And here are some of the effects. As you can see, it just doesn't affect students. It affects both students, parents, and teachers. The students, it can affect them by getting to school late and missing free meals, such as a free breakfast. They can miss extracurricular activities such as sports, drama club, any of those sports, or any of those clubs that we have, or after-school help. A lot of teachers have after-school nights where they help with homework, they can go over any questions, essentially like office hours for high school. However, with transportation issues, that can be a hindrance. Increased absenteeism is also an effect, and lack of sleep due to longer routes. For parents, it can lead to disrupted schedules, since parents might have to start taking their child to school, and which can also lead to missed work, since as I mentioned, with the bus driver shortage, parents might have to start taking their children to work, which can cause either tardiness into work or just being absent from work. Increased expenses, because they might have to buy more gas, and as you guys can probably see, gas is expensive. Hence the increased expenses, and all of these can lead to higher stress levels. And as for teachers would need to redesign lesson plans to help accommodate students. It also leads to the addition of other duties, which can cause frustration and higher stress levels. These are some national statistics conducted by the Associated Press and the University of Chicago. And they stated that 80% of districts are facing bus driver shortages. Almost half of parents said that their child has been late to school at least once because of transportation. 26% of students are missing out on key extracurricular activities such as these ones pictured here. And 11% of parents lost their jobs because they had to take their child to school. As you can see, these numbers are no joke. They are affecting people's livelihoods. In fact, a group of students in Louisville, Kentucky, quite literally decided to face the music on this issue and create a music video highlighting the effects it has on them in the bus driver shortage. The link can be found in your handouts. Statistics in the schools. So as mentioned before, we as a group went to all our schools and interviewed our admin, our teachers, our students, and district parents to see how the shortage impacts them. You can find our statistics for Taconic Hills in your handout specific to our school. But now we are going to look at some quotes that students and teachers had to say. So as you can see, students had a lot of mixed opinions about the conditions and reliability of their school buses. We have some students saying that the bus is usually comes late and it impacts their learning. Over here we are talking about how there's no time for activities. This student is late every day because of the bus. So as you can see, students are very vocal about how the bus driver shortage impacts them. Now let's see the other side of this issue and see what faculty have to say. So as I mentioned before, students miss valuable instructional time because of the bus driver shortage. And we can see that through some of these quotes that the teachers have. Like this one up here, when students are late to class, they miss valuable instruction or directions. And when I was mentioning before about how students miss extracurricular activities, you can see that in this quote, how students are unable to participate in FFA because they do not have a ride. FFA stands for Future Farmers of America, which helps cultivate interest in agriculture. Therefore, by students missing that club, they are missing out on an important opportunity that can help them in the future, especially if they are going into agriculture. Over here, we have 15% of their students have been late to class due to their bus, thereby impacting instructional time, as I mentioned before. All right, now that we saw the problem, here are some solutions that some of the public schools in New York are doing, as you can see on this map. Some schools are paying for training, some are paying for their drivers to get their CDL, and in fact, some even took the extreme and their superintendents started to drive the bus. For example, at Columbia High School and Deaf Black, New York, both superintendents got their CDL and drove a school bus. And in Saranac, New York, the superintendent used a school van to bring the students to school. So schools are working hard to try to combat this issue. Now let's see how access to education and lack of transportation impact us as a nation and all around the world. Before we start talking about global issues, it is important to leave ethnocentric beliefs behind. That is why this map is pictured to help us get into the mindset of global issues. So as you can see, there are many different ways for students to get to school. In Mexico, students may walk, ride, or even ride a burro. In Venezuela, children ride in funiculars to school. In Indonesia, children walk across a tightrope-like mechanism to cross a river. And over in the Philippines, since it is an island territory, children ride on yellow school boats. And in Africa, students walk long distances to school, and we will go more into about how students in Africa get to school in the upcoming slides. In many developing countries, as mentioned, the main mode of transportation to school is by walking. However, sometimes these walks can be a hindrance as they are several hours long and can be dangerous for all students, especially females. And these walks often exclude children who have to work to support their families, children with disabilities, children who are ill and, and malnourished. And it can also exclude students from going to extracurricular activities, much as we saw before with the bus driver shortage over in America. Homework is also sacrificed sometimes because students must work for their families, so they don't have time to do their homework because they are busy working for their families to try to provide. And another major barrier is global funding, since these developing countries might not have money to put into for schools. And here's a quote from Katie King, who is the Assistant Director of Program Management and International Student Support at Harvard. Her quote is right here, and she is basically saying about how they are tired from the walk and have a hard time focusing in school, and even though they do their best to pay attention, it is still difficult for them since they know they have to go back home and repeat the journey all again the next day. So it's kind of hard to focus in class when that is underlined. This is some statistics by the numbers. So findings and factors. So in 2015, the number of African children not attending school was 13.2 million. There are now over 100 million children in school, and that can be the population growth. 4 out of 5 10-year-old children cannot read a simple text in Africa, and that's a humanitarian crisis, and insufficient funding can also be a factor. And here's a comparison chart comparing statistics from 2019 to 2020 and 2019 to 2022 to show a comparison. Now let's tie everything we learned in globally back to the United States. Some students in the United States are now walking 1 to 2 miles to get to school, and this can be dangerous. Over here we have a young girl named Salishi who was raped on the way to school in South Africa, enraging many Africans. As mentioned before, these walks can be dangerous. However, we saw something similar right here in America. Luis Adrian Morales was killed by a reckless driver in California, and Luis was also walking to school as well. So as you guys can see, dangers are increasing as students walk to school. And here's our solution. The local solution is to entice people who already work at the school, such as janitors, aides, cafeteria workers, to get their CDL, and offer a CDL training course with the stipulation that if you complete the CDL at that school, one must work at that school as a bus driver for X amount of years. And our global solution is to donate money to the humanitarian organization UNICEF. And here are our citations, and that is pretty much it. Any questions?
How many of our buses are late here to get our students to class? How many, you know?
They did not really put that in
Okay,
the form.
I'm just interested because that is, actually that is an issue. To get them here in time is important. The other thing, in the beginning where you were saying some of the reasons why you can't get bus driver shortage, there is one that I know specifically. People don't want to work a split schedule. They have families to feed, and if they're only working 3 hours in the morning and then they're working 3 hours in the afternoon, it's hard to have a consistent job that will provide for your family. So that's also a problem. I mean, it's mostly retired people that do these jobs, so that's also. So I like your solutions, and I hope we can come up with some more.
Thank you.
And Violet, I just wanted, if I could just share quickly, that you did a great job sharing what a team of you put together. And I liked how you shared with us the issues that all students are impacted by with not being able to get to school and having that support in transportation. So thank you for giving us an even bigger picture, because we tend to focus just on here in New York State or here in our district with the challenges that we have. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for not making me go after you, Violet. You're a hard act to follow.
All right. Superintendent report.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Superintendent commitments remain the same. I believe that, you'll see how these commitments are continuing to be in effect this month. One thing that really isn't in the slides is engaging with our legislative leaders. We did recently provide invitations to Senator Hinchy's office and our Assemblyperson Barrett for our May 28th, 250th year celebration and our work-based learning event, which will be on June 4th. Sorry, folks. Just some monthly highlights. I had the opportunity to go to the National School Board Association convention a week ago. I have to say that it was really wonderful to have that opportunity. I thank the district for that chance, not only to go with board members, but also for myself to be at a national conference to see what the issues, challenges, and successes are across the nation, in addition to what we are doing well here in New York State and in our district, was uplifting. And to see so many people from so many different walks of life and different cultures come together, just celebrating and supporting public education was just really invigorating. I wish everyone had the chance to do that. In the picture to the right that's of a screen, that was from a performing arts high school, a band, students. They were so phenomenal. They actually were opening up for, oh my gosh, Dave Matthews Band. They just had everybody moving and grooving, and it was really amazing. That's a picture of Mr. Simons and I when we had the opportunity to hear Violet and her group that she worked with, their presentation. Thank you to Laura and Mary and all those that worked on putting together the pre-K kindergarten parent night. It went really well. I think it was even better received than last year, just the committee working together and fine-tuning that event so families feel comfortable coming in and learning about what we have to offer for that primary education. We've had elementary concerts and art shows, the grade 3 and 4 and the grade 1 and 2. I think we're so fortunate here that our first and second graders get that opportunity to be in a performance. The Spring into Wellness Walking Challenge is something that we've been doing as part of the Wellness Committee. And I have to tell you that people are excited about it. You walk in the hall and people are talking about where is everybody getting their steps in. We had a PDT committee meeting yesterday, and it came up through that conversation how much people have appreciated what the Wellness Committee has done, and that this is really helping with school morale. But the funniest thing is that everybody is so competitive in this district. We have people doing over 5 miles a day, over their 10,000 steps. Everybody's wondering how are certain people, besides buildings and grounds and the IT team, everybody's wondering how's everybody getting their steps in. And it was decided yesterday at our PDP meeting that buildings and grounds and IT have an opportunity to walk around the building far more than anybody else. So next year they need to have their own separate competition because it is not equitable to everybody else. But in all seriousness, we really are having a great time with it. And if people are stopping and talking, just learning a little bit more about each other. We've got great team names that people have. So it's just bringing some fun along with some good health. And it's really been enjoyable. I just wanted to share about, okay. Yeah, sure. So this came about because Christine Nelson engaged in a pilot with this company, Just Right Readers, this year. These books are specifically focused, connected to the science of reading and focused on phonics support. Her classroom had Take Everywhere literacy packs where students were able to take books home and keep them. It reinforced practicing phonics at home. That led to purchasing these decodables for classrooms for the coming year. Dr. Courtwright Torres worked with the company and Laura Backlund to put these in place. Even though we have good practices through Hegarty, which is a resource, and foundations for that phonics building and phonemic awareness, there wasn't a connection of that oral piece that happens with the print and putting it to print. So we were able to purchase this year books for full set for kindergarten so that they're in the classroom. Kindergarten and first grade, are most critical for students being prepared with those two components of reading. Grade 3 has a set as well. That's really more for tier 2 support because we're expecting by grade 3, these are skills that students have mastered for the most part. The grade 1 and 2 classrooms will have 2 sets. I said per classroom, that is my typo, I apologize. We'll have 2 sets per grade level that they share. That's because grade 1 and grade 2 will have kindergarten, first, and second grade level books in their classrooms because at that age, those ages, we know students are learning at different rates and we want to make sure everyone has access to them. It is a 2-minute video, but I really would like you to see Christine Nelson speaking about this pilot that she did with her students. So thank you.
Hello families, my name is Christine Nelson. I'm a first grade teacher here at Taconic Hills, and I'm so excited to share how together we can support your child to become a more stronger and very confident reader. There's a lot of research about the science of reading, and the best thing that you can do with your child at home is to read together. Encourage your child to read a little bit each day, and especially while on the break. This will help prevent that learning loss and accelerate their reading growth. Your child is coming home with a Take Everywhere literacy pack. Each child is given their own pack of Just Right Readers. These decodable books are just made for them, specifically for their phonics needs. When learning how to read, you need a lot of practice. Every time your child reads a Just Right Reader book, they are encouraged to strengthen and grow those phonics skills and accelerate their reading achievement. These books are specifically made for them, chosen for each child individually. They are fun, they're colorful, they tell stories, and the kids get excited to be able to read them over and over and over again. And keep reading. They're yours forever. They're your special decodable books. Plus, each Just Right Reader comes with a short, fun video that teaches that phonics skill. You just need your phone, use the QR code, and right there, you have your phonics lesson that we have done in school. But now you can do it at home, and it comes in many different languages. On the back, you have a give me a high five. When you have completed the phonics lesson and have completed reading your book, you color in one of those high five fingers so you can strengthen and build that confidence. Each child is coming home with their very own Just Right Reader backpack. You can take this everywhere where you can continue to read and build on those reading skills. In each bag, each student will be getting their very own Just Right Reader packets that is just for them. You can take it everywhere with you to keep reading and enjoying the love of learning together. Each child will have their name on it and their special Taconic Hills logo. And again, for more information for those phonics skills, for reaching the Just Right Readers, we have our QR code right here on your bag to reaching those phonics skills. We can't wait to start reading with you and having our wonderful Just Right Reader books come home. And I can't wait to hear which is your favorite story. Have fun.
So that's just that was a different program than what we're purchasing, but if all goes well and this works, we can talk about extending that to providing that to go home as well. Just wanted to share that Alyssa Fitness was really excited in the fall about helping us with voting and getting more voters involved. So she did a sticker design contest, and we selected 4 of those choices. The originals are on the top, and they were just fine-tuned through Alexis so that we can pass those out. So when people come in to vote, they're going to get a Taconic Hills sticker designed by one of our very own Taconic Hills students. I think my favorite one is the last one. I voted exactly 1 second ago, and I love the spelling. So we really want to encourage more people to be involved. We have our wonderful Springs of Learning event on that same evening that is highly and well attended, and people love coming to that. So we're working on different ways to incentivize them to, before they go home, come in and vote and support our schools. I do want to acknowledge among our retirements is Lisa Reese as an elementary teacher. We want to thank her for her 22 years of service and also serving as the Faculty Association president. I was able to work with her my first 2 years here, and I am excited that she was part of us being able to come together, participate in interest-based bargaining, and have a contract that was ratified before the end of the year. So thanks to her for all she does. You can tell when you're in her classroom, she loves and cares about those students like they're her own. She's been a great asset to our school. Just a few upcoming events. It just goes so quickly. I can't believe we're already moving into May, but we do have a blood drive. If you're somebody able to help out with that, please consider stopping by. We have an art show, which is part of our Spring into Learning event, which is also when we are voting, and then we have upcoming spring concerts. Oh, I forgot about this PTO day. So Saturday, May 2nd, I know it's not quite Mother's Day, but if you want to help out a mom or somebody you know and do a takeout order, you will also be helping our school district. And then June 4th, we have our Career and Trades Fair where we're promoting our work-based learning and different programs and opportunities for our students so that they can learn and understand future opportunities they have in this area for careers and trades. This is, I feel like, just a little bit of what's coming up this month. A lot of things that are going on. And I'll make sure this is in the board report so that you have all of these at your fingertips. And that's all I have. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks on that. And now we have, Mike, how are you?
Hey everyone. I've done this a long time. Okay. So I wanted to start off by talking about some field trips that I've been able to go on over the past month. We went to Spelling Bee on March 24th down at Maris, Fire, and USC. We had a pretty good turnout of a lot of teams that went. Unfortunately, none of the teams in our school made it to the final round, but we had some pretty creative team names. One that comes to mind for me was Autocorrect Sports Nightmare. But we had a lot of good team names. The second field trip was one that my English class went on this past Friday to Lenox to watch a Shakespeare play, to watch Hamlet. We were joined by actually a lot of other kids. The bus was completely packed, but we made it. And we were joined by kids who have participated in the Shakespeare Fall Festival this past year. And then our class went because we're reading the book, reading the play in class. So that was a great experience. I think everyone enjoyed it. Next up, I'll talk about some athletic announcements. So the spring sports season is in session, as you probably know. The baseball team had a big win last night against Kentucky. I remember hearing that was a tough matchup for them, but they won it, and they remain undefeated, I think. The softball team has also been winning by huge margins. They had a 17-run win and a 16-run win, I think, just this past week against Carroll and Catskill. And then the track team, which I can speak more to personally, has been successful. It's a small and younger team than in years past, but there's been already a lot of growth, even though it's early on. And it's pretty drastic change for me as someone who's always had people to look up to on the team and, some really incredible athletes that are still have. But as a senior, it's been a different role for me, and it's really interesting and really exciting to watch the team grow, especially when it's a lot of younger athletes. And then the tennis team is another team that's undefeated, and I've been able to watch a few of their games because they're right next to the track, so we can see people just pop over, even if I'm running by, I can notice what's happening. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the science research symposium that was held last month, at the end of March last month. I knew two friends that went and actually competed in the science and engineering fair at RPI. That was Sophia and Francesca, and they both did very well. It sounded pretty intense with a full day of just judges looking at your report and asking questions. But I know that Francesca won the American Psychology Award, and they both were very successful from what I've heard. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about was a few senior things that are happening. So, Senior Assassin is happening now. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. I'll just brush over the rules quickly, but it sounds intense, but really it's just a fun bonding experience for the senior class. About half of the class is participating. Basically, you have a week and you are assigned a random target in class. You have to get them out with a water balloon or a water gun in a certain time frame. But there's obviously a lot of rules that make sure that students are safe and that it doesn't interfere with education. Obviously, you can't do it in school or doing extracurriculars or sports or practices or anything like that, or driving or work or a lot of things. But yeah, I think it's been really fun. Even though we just started this past week, I already know a lot of people are getting into it and having fun with it, not taking it to an extreme level. And then the final thing I wanted to talk about was some senior trips that we're in the process of locking down right now. We have an overnight trip to Pocono Valley, and then on the way back, we're stopping in New York City for the day. So I'm excited for that. I think we have a lot of kids that are interested and have already put in the deposits. Thankfully, it's not too much money because we've been able to raise a lot of money over the years for fundraisers. And the other trip is in mid, that one is in early June, and the other trip is in mid-June. It's a day trip to go whitewater rafting at Lake George, I believe. And it's nice that we offer two trips because, the overnight is more expensive and maybe you can interfere with some students' plans, or maybe they just don't want to go on it. So there's a day trip as well, which is a bit of a cheaper option for the seniors to go on and bond and kind of, end off the year on a fun high note. But yeah, it's been fun.
What are the returns for track?
Exactly.
For soccer?
Yeah, returns and sectional support.
And what time? I mean, what day? You know?
I don't know exactly, but I think returns is like May.
Is that in here?
Because it was going to be the same day as the science symposium.
Oh, yeah, I think it's the last Tuesday on May. Yeah.
And then sectional is just fall.
All right, thanks. Okay, so on here, it has the NISBA annual convention report, so we're gonna do that next meeting for the board members, so just be prepared for that. Okay, Board of Education member activity reports. Sam, we'll start with you.
I don't remember beyond today.
Yeah, I did too.
The pregnancy break was a full.
All right, Janine?
I went to the Project Community Road and Midwest conference, so I'll share more about it in the next meeting, but I've been going to some track meets for the varsity and for modified stuff. And I also like to bingo night for the PTO. Oh my gosh, it was the place to be. I couldn't believe it. It was
Did you win?
I didn't want something like that. I won like little candles, but I just went and I was like, I went with my daughter and I just couldn't bring any people over there. I'm like, okay, that's a
That's nice.
fundraiser. If anyone wants to do fundraising, apparently bingo is like a good thing. All these holidays and stuff. But that was fun.
Joe?
I like the news, but that was about it.
All right. Ron?
I do want to use, but I'm sorry I didn't bring my cowboy hat. I came back.
Next meeting.
You will get the full effect.
Molly?
This month,
And
I was able to go to a softball game.
You did? I also went to NISBA, yeah, that's pretty much all I've done. And you?
I did the same thing Sam did.
Okay. Racing Ring? Racing Ring?
I went to policy.
Old age memory, I can't remember.
policy.
We have policy.
Bonnie, can I say one thing?
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just thought that last month we recognized and announced who our valedictorians and Victorians were, but you were not here, Clyde, so I just wanted to say congratulations on being our valedictorian.
Congratulations.
I just felt valedictorian.
That's not the right way.
Oh, don't ask me.
Be careful, you get on the suicide list.
They didn't win the spelling.
I didn't make it.
They didn't win the spelling bee, Mr. Morales.
Oh, you guys didn't win this time, guys.
Not part of GPA.
Okay, next up we have new business. So we have the property tax report card. I need a motion. Joe and Alicia, any questions? All in favor? All right, election of the BOCES, so we have the BOCES board. So we have, first one is, need a motion for the BOCES board member Mary Daly. Motion, Sam, Rick, any questions? All in favor? Next up, the election of board member BOCES, Joseph Garland. Motion, please. Sam, Rick. And, oh, there's two more. And another BOCES board member, John Hill. Motion, please. Sam and Molly. Any questions? All in favor? Next up, we have BOCES board member Mary Urista. I hope I'm saying that correct. Motion, Sam, and second. Janine? Any questions? All in favor? Okay, next up, we have the BOCES administrative, the 2026-2027 administrative budget. Motion? Rick? Second, Sam? I had to switch it up. Any questions? All in favor? All right. So we have policies, there's a bunch for first read, but we're gonna vote on the second read, which is the school admissions, automated external defibrillators, and the board operational priorities. Margaret's not here to talk about them, like she normally is, but, we're just gonna take a motion on those policies. Motions, please. Molly and Joe. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, now we have a donation. A copy of Doreen Cronin's book to go to each child in grades kindergarten, first grade, second grade, from Book Dreams Incorporated in Hillsdale. That's very nice. Motion, please. Sam, second. Joe, any questions? All in favor? We have two field trips. We have the self-contained kindergarten, first grade class is going to go to Berkshire Courseworks in Richmond, Mass. And the pre-kindergarten to go to Hancock Shaker Village in Pittsfield. Motion, please. Ron and Alicia. Any questions? All in favor?
I'm gonna go to Shaker Village.
My
I
husband
don't think I've ever been there.
My husband will give you the spot. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I've never been there. Okay, what do I got now? Youth course approval, so I need a motion, it's wildlife management, I need a motion for that, please, Joe and Molly. Any questions? All in favor? And bids, we have 2 bids for the field turf and for the running track surface. Motion, please. Rick, second. Sam, any questions?
Investigated because
These are part of a cooperative contract. So the price is like a New York State contract. It's not a New York State contract, it's a different one. So, right, they put it out as a collective contract, and then a bunch of the, they vet the businesses that respond.
Oh, New York State does that?
This one is Sourcewell. It's
Oh,
a
okay.
different contract, but it's
Yeah.
the same idea as New York State contract, and it
Okay.
works the same way.
Any other questions? All in favor? So we have a memorandum of agreement with the Taconic Hill support staff. This is the newly ratified contract that Joey talked about last meeting we were here. So motion to accept that. We got Joe and Sam. Any questions? I just want to say it was a very pleasant experience to go through that. So great job. All in favor? Thanks. Motion for the amended mentor plan. That's Sam and Janine. Any questions? All in favor? Agreement with the Hawthorne Valley Waldorf School for nursing services for next year. Motion please, we got Sam and Rick. Any questions? All in favor? We have a consultant services agreement with clinical coaching. Motion for that, please. Sam? No. Well, Sam, you're like right in my line of vision.
I know,
so
we
it's
did
like-
get the eye contact.
Any questions? All in favor? Molly, sorry. All right, now we have the personnel agenda, which is B through J. I need a motion for that. We got. Second. Sam. Just go through that. I mean, we did talk about Lisa Reese, and we wish her well in her whatever her next journey is going to be. And thank you for your service to the district.
And Bobby Joe talked about Mary Wood.
And Mary Wood as well, yes. How many years was she here, Bobby Joe?
Just over 20.
Nice.
She retired a long time ago and then she went back.
Oh. Anything else? And so. Alright. Any questions? All in favor? And we do need executive tonight, correct? And the public, we have anybody in public session? You second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to thank you for voting yes on the contract.
You're welcome. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
For additional items to discuss, I do want to bring something up. We had 3 open seats and only one person has put their paperwork in. So, what that means for the vote is, I mean, I had Lynette talk to Chris Lanchant, and I mean, I know that we've gone around and kind of discussed possibly reducing the amount of seats from 9 to 7. I mean, even if it's something that we did now, it would not go into effect until next year. So we still have 2 open seats. So that will mean writing campaigns probably. This is how I'm looking at it. If we didn't have people sign up to do this, I don't know what a writing campaign is going to look like. I'm hoping that people just miss the deadline and,
When they still, like if people still want to do it, like,
It would be, a-
No, this
Right.
rated.
it'd have to be a rated,
But
yeah.
they can go online and advertise if you have.
Right.
want to come over and stuff.
I'm just putting that out there that, in the future, maybe it is something that you consider. I know, as we know about the history with this district, it's like, when things are going bad, there's all kinds of people that want to get on here. And it seems as well now when things are doing well, no, they're just like, and I'm not doing that. I've just put my time in. I've done 11 years. I'm not doing that. I just hope somebody does step up and do it, and so hopefully we get some good people. Just advertise, go tell your neighbors, run for the school board.
Let's be careful who you tell.
Well, that's very true. Very, very true. Yes. So that's all I want to just give some thought to that. That's all. And we're gonna go, now I need a motion to go into executive session.
Can I just add?
Yes.
May 2nd is the Hudson Children's Book Festival, but it's housed at Columbia Green now. And they
Oh, wow.
give a free book to every child that attends. So put that on your calendar.
Well, that's a good
It's one
idea.
of my favorite events. And then May 10th is our Dollars for Scholars Award Night. We're handing out $95,000 in scholarships to our graduating seniors.
Wow.
Here in the pack at, I think, 7 o'clock. I should double check my email on time, but yes. Francesca was here, she's correct. May 10th. Always the night before Mother's Day. No,
Saturday?
It's Saturday night, sorry.
Only Saturday.
Same.
Thanks, I did.
What the Dollars for Scholars is?
Yeah, it's a Saturday night before Mother's Day.
Okay. Anything else, anybody else? Okay. Need a motion to go to executive session. We got Sam and Molly. Any questions? All in favor? Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Ashley does.